Hi, and welcome to Tap into Hudson. I'm Steve Lennox, and I'm the publisher of Tap into Hoboken, Tap into Bayonne, and Tap into Jersey City. We hope that we find all our viewers and readers healthy and happy this week, perhaps a little bit snowed under, a trend that our forecasters say is going to last for a few more weeks. So please stay tuned to tap into, and we can keep you apprised of weather closings and other important updates. But today we want to talk about public safety. As we know, public safety is the cornerstone of any strong city, especially Jersey City, where Mayor Fulop has really put effort into beefing up the police force, making sure he's got a diverse crew of men and women that are ready to protect the streets and each of the neighborhoods. And with that, I'm going to introduce our first guest. He's retired Deputy Chief Jimmy Carroll. He served for 25 years on the JCPD, retiring in 2020. And we're very lucky to have him as a guest to talk to us a little bit about policing. Deputy Chief Carroll, how are you today?
Good, Steve. How are you? And thank you for having me on your show.
Of course, of course. First question I need to ask you is how does it feel to be referred to as retired deputy chief?
I don't know. I thought I was too young, but as I'm looking at this video, maybe it's age appropriate. But no,
Yeah.
I'm very happy to have had a nice career and served with some of the best men and women law enforcement has to offer.
Certainly. Jimmy, one of the questions I wanted to ask you was this idea of family in the police department. You know, I know your father served proudly in the JCPD. And as I've worked around some of your colleagues, you know, I notice plenty of multi-generational families serving, husbands and wives serving together, brothers, cousins. What is it about the police force, about public safety, that draws those familiar ties?
Well, I think policing, at least in my perspective, and from when I was growing up, it was more of a family concept. You got to not only know fellow colleagues and employees, but in a lot of ways they became like your family. So a radio call partner through the years, my father had various partners that he worked with, and they get to know you as a young child, and as you grow up, and you sort of indoctrinate yourself into this culture. When you see how much pride the other officers have in serving the community, and even within the community, when you're building the bonds, having that connection, it really is a sense of pride. It provides a sense of pride with you as you're young and you're growing older. And I think all of that opens doors in the idea of wanting to become part of the law enforcement family.
Thank you. And you just talked about building bonds with the community also, in addition to the men and women that you serve with. Tell me a little about that. We throw this phrase around, community policing, a lot. What does that mean exactly, to be community oriented in terms of policing?
Well, Steve, in the world of policing, you're only as effective as you are with your partnership with the community. In essence, we serve the community, as it says on all of our material, to protect and serve. But when you have that relationship, you get to develop a holistic approach towards policing. Policing conceptually is organic. It grows, it changes, and we are always seeking progress in the law enforcement community. The only way we have a successful policing agency is when we have a true partnership with the community. I would venture to tell you that most success stories in communities that have good departments are because they have a strong foundation and relationship with the communities they serve. Community policing as a concept means just that. It means that you are one with the community. We're doing things outside of policing. In Jersey City, for example, I could point to numerous officers that are involved with extracurricular activity that do not involve their badge. We have coaches of baseball teams. We have people that serve as mentors. We have people that are involved in the church. I'm still the trustee for St. Anne's Church in the Heights. I've been doing so for probably the better part of 10 years. With that comes this sense of extended service that comes with policing. Not just what you're getting paid to do for the 8 hours a day that you're working, but really more of a marriage with the community, and answering that phone after the 8 hours, and going to the events, and really becoming part of the neighbors and community that we serve around us. That's the true sense of community policing. And it really helps because, then the people in the community are going to be very open and tell you exactly what's going on around you. And that does help to address matters in the community. So you have a good pulse as to what's going on.
So maybe we've moved away from this concept of the men and women of the police force walking the beat or walking the streets like we see in the movies, and perhaps like what your father did back in his day as a policeman, but certainly very much in the communities is what you're saying. That's the key to an effective police force.
There's no doubt, and I think to some level it happened periodically. It always happens periodically through the years. I just think the perception of how it plays out predominantly on TV, and we watch movies now, CSI and all of these other movies, and we went from Starsky and Hutch to CSI, but the truth of it is most of policing is community oriented. It always has been. So it's just changed now and how it's perceived. But I would tell you that growing up, it was the same concept. You knew the people in your neighborhood.
Jimmy, thank you. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back in a couple minutes, I want to talk more about this evolving role of the police force. Thank you.
Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, Jersey City. Hudson County's only monument maker, serving all faiths and cemeteries. Design, studio, and large inventory on site. Cemetery inscriptions and custom orders welcome. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, just south of Secaucus Road. Craftsmanship that will last for all eternity. Burns Brothers, Jersey City, Albert H. Hopper, North Arlington. Visit us on the net.
Stevens Jersey City Ford, located right off of NJ 440 North. Across the Hudson Mall is your one-stop for all your automotive needs. Check out Ford's latest models like the 2020 Ford Fusion with its stylish looks and hybrid options, or the unparalleled high-performance 2020 Ford Mustang. The 2020 Ford F-150 Raptor is ready for those rugged off-road terrains with trail control. Need a mid-sized truck for your towing and hauling? The 2020 Ford Ranger will deliver. The 2020 Ford Escape is a luxury SUV that was made for comfort and adventure on the go. Returning is Ford's legendary Bronco, which takes you back to the true meaning of off-roading. They are now available for pre-order in our showroom or on our website. Let us help you find your next vehicle. Stevens Jersey City Ford, 201-432-7272.
Hi, and welcome back to Tapped into Hudson. We're going to get right back into the conversation here with retired Deputy Chief of the JCPD, James Carroll. Jimmy, what I want to talk about is, the show a couple weeks ago, we had City Prosecutor Jake Hudnut on, and he talked about the quality of life task force that's been implemented in Jersey City, kind of bringing together a bunch of the different departments in a multi-jurisdictional approach, if you will, to housing matters and misdemeanors and nonviolent crimes and other matters of public safety. And he talked about it being an opportunity to sort of deliver justice to Jersey City residents in a way that hadn't been done before. Where do you think this quality of life task force is going from a public safety perspective? I know some of your former colleagues are serving on it and helping to head it up. What have you seen its actions been so far?
I'm very positive about the approach that Prosecutor Hudnut is taking on this. I've had an opportunity to work with him on this particular project. I think it's a common sense approach to quality of life policing in Jersey City and in many of the cities. It provides a start and a finish to a multifaceted approach on numerous issues involving quality of life for our residents. So when you look to say a simple matter such as garbage being dumped in an area of an abandoned building, the call comes into community residence response center in the city. Now, in this particular case, we get to follow that particular complaint from start to finish all the way through prosecution. And because there's so many different divisions involved in a lot of these quality of life matters, bringing them together in one consolidated effort makes sense. So one issue, for an area that's a problem, let's say a corner that's a problem for the community, it might be garbage related, and then maybe there's this disorderly group. So you're bringing in sort of the summonses from the incinerator perspective, in the sense that they have to issue summonses for the garbage that's being improperly disposed of. But you're also bringing in this law enforcement component for the disorderly groups that are on the corner. Now you're bringing two agencies together under the same umbrella, but in essence, you're solving the one problem for the community. And ultimately, the prosecutor can now look at the beginning and the roots of a problem, trace it to the end, and then also be uniquely involved in the penalty or the determination on what's going to happen to basically stop the matter from starting again. So this streamline, I think, makes perfect sense, and I think it's a very good idea, and it certainly complements what we're trying to accomplish in law enforcement. Because, as you know, a lot of these complaints do come to law enforcement, even if it's not in what's considered the traditional law enforcement wheel well. We will still have them at our community meetings. Now, having this new tool, this supplement, to become part of the program, it's very, very useful to all the district commanders, so they can do a one-stop shopping for all of the issues that are arising in their particular district. And now that gives them a better view and a better glimpse of how to address and what's being done to address each one of these individual problems on a multifaceted basis.
No, that's great. And sometimes, Jimmy, when you're looking at some of these issues, the garbage dumping or broken windows or whatever it might be, it leads to bigger issues. So it sounds like this quality of life task force is a way of dealing with some of that before it festers into something more serious. I want to go also to mid-year 2020, the tragic death of George Floyd in Minneapolis, and sort of this call that came from that to defund the police. Very serious calls across the country. Mayor Fulop very quickly stood up and said, we are not going to defund the police in Jersey City. We're not going to reverse the progress that we've created in terms of public safety. We're going to keep funding the police. And in fact, he's grown the police department in recent months. Did he make the right call by doing that?
Well, let's start off with the first part, which is the George Floyd matter. It's such a sensitive issue in law enforcement, and it's obviously taken all of our efforts to make sure that we renew our vow and our commitment to the community, and we make sure that they understand that we're serving them. However, what's happening in a national movement doesn't necessarily always translate or equate to what's actually happening to each individual community. I think what the mayor looked at in Jersey City was he had to reassess, like all other mayors did, and just take a look at the current relationships that exist with the community and the law enforcement agencies that serve them right up front. I would say, at least in Jersey City, on my experience, that we have a very positive relationship with the community we serve. And so a lot of the things we were doing here, we were doing right. I'd also even say that Jersey City could serve, maybe to some of the other agencies that are having issues with the community, we could serve as an example, because some of the proposals that are being mentioned on a national level have already been implemented for years in Jersey City, and have been effective. And people could look to our model in Jersey City as a success model. I think the mayor, I didn't speak to him directly on it, but my thoughts as to what he had said publicly was, I think he gave due pause to the national movement, certainly respected it as everybody else did in law enforcement and in his own capacity, but took a look at the actions of our department and the relationship we had with the diverse community in Jersey City, took a look at what worked, and then tried to improve on what maybe hasn't. I think that he analyzed that and did it in a very efficient manner. And I think he's going to continue on the course of success for what's been working in Jersey City. So I have to say that I certainly support that, and I think that figuring out what works and how to continue that relationship with our residents is always a welcomed initiative.
Deputy Chief Carroll, retired Deputy Chief Carroll, thank you so much for spending some time with us today. I wish we had more time to talk. We always get through these shows and we realize 12 minutes just isn't enough, especially when it comes to public safety, especially when it comes to a couple of Irish guys gathering back and forth here. But Jimmy, really, thank you for your time. Thank you for your service to Jersey City. We look forward to having you back soon. And with that, we're going to take a break and we'll be back with another guest. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Carpets, 3408 Kennedy Boulevard in the Jersey City Heights, your one-stop store for residential and commercial floor treatments, carpeting, linoleum, tiles, laminates, hardwood floors, area rugs, remnants, all major brands, all in stock. Free estimates, same-day installation. Consumer Carpets, it's savings, selection, installation. Credit cards and debit cards accepted. Financing available. Consumer Carpets, price to fit your budget, installation to fit your schedule. On the net at consumercarpets.com. Consumer Carpets, Jersey City, 201-792-2712.
Pana Properties, Jersey City. Shaping the workplace with state-of-the-art office spaces that address your company desires. Building residences that define your home environment, adjacent to all modes of transportation with on-site parking available. The right address, the right lease. Call 201-521-9000 or visit online at panapintoproperties.com. Pana Pinto Properties, building Jersey City for everyone.
Hi, and welcome back to Tapped into Hudson. I'm Steve Lenox. I'm the publisher of Tap into Hoboken, Tap into Bayonne, and Tap into Jersey City. We've been doing this show for just a few months now, but we're already going to bring back a repeat guest. And it's because it's an issue that is so important. I just thought we needed to talk about it again. And we're also coming up on an anniversary that we're going to chat about, a tragic anniversary, the death of Tim and Bridget O'Donnell in a tragic car crash on February 22nd, 2016. And then joining us today is Pam O'Donnell, Tim's husband, Bridget's mother, and also Allie, their other daughter. Pam, Allie, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Perfect. Thank you both for joining us. Pam, I said at the outset there, I'm bringing you back as a repeat guest, so thank you for that. And the reason I wanted to bring you back so soon was because we are coming up on this tragic anniversary, the 5-year anniversary of the death of your loved ones. Tell me a little bit about how you're commemorating Tim and Bridget.
Yeah, thank you for having us back. I appreciate it. I'm grateful that my daughter is joining me on this one. We had to do something big for this year. We normally have a candlelight vigil, which we're still unsure if we're going to be able to do it because of the COVID restrictions. But this year is special because at 3:20 p.m. on February 22nd, my 5-year-old daughter will then have been deceased 1 minute longer than she was alive. And I feel like we needed to remember her in a very special way. So we had started just haphazardly. I thought, let's put signs around Bayonne. And another person in California said, I would like a sign. And we ended up having signs across the United States. It's not really the way we wanted to visit every state as a family, but we had mailed out 96 signs across the United States. So every single state in the nation is being represented. And we also have a billboard that is on the New Jersey Turnpike, Newark Bay Extension, westbound, going towards the airport. So we just felt, we got to do this one big. This one is all about Bridget. Knowing she's gone 1 minute longer than she was alive is a lot to handle. It's a lot to take in. This may be the hardest anniversary that we have to get through.
And Pam, it really is such a tragic story, and and it brings tears and emotion, and we all well up every time we hear it. Of course, you're living this every single day, and you talked a little bit about that with Al Sullivan, our reporter at Tap into Bayonne, and you talked about the softball field, and you talked about the Catch You Later Foundation. But most importantly, what you talk about, Pam, what I really take away from every single conversation you and I have is you never want this to happen to any other family again. And in fact, it happens about 40,000 times a year, doesn't it? What are we all doing? What can we do to make sure it doesn't happen to any more families?
Approximately 40,000 people die every single year in the United States. In order to combat that, we have to keep awareness going with doing things like this. We need people to put down their phones, put it in their trunk, have a plan. We just did the Super Bowl. I'm waiting for statistics on that. I know that the increases in car crashes in the state of New Jersey went up 5%, even during COVID, with less people on the roads, but more people speeding. We just all have to make better choices. Both hands on the road, eyes up, phones down. Don't drive distracted. Don't drive impaired. Have the courage to intervene. Make a pledge. People really have to take responsibility. This week, knowing that these signs are all over the United States, I've been telling my story over and over again to complete strangers who were willing to take a sign or requested a sign. And until it happens to somebody, it really doesn't resonate. But then when they listen to our story, somehow our story resonates with people. But it's not about us. It's not about just Tim and Bridget or my daughter, Allie. There are 40,000 other families that will get a phone call such as we had almost 5 years ago to this February.
And of course, with the snow on the roads and the ice on the roads and the inclement weather, driving distracted becomes even more of a hazard, doesn't it? We really do need to keep our eyes open and our phones down. Say that again. Allie, why don't you say that? Tell us that. Put our phones down and keep our eyes up. Can you tell our viewers that?
Phones down and keep your eyes on the road.
Thank you, Allie. We're going to take a quick break here, and we're going to come back to you, Allie, because I want to ask you a couple questions. I know this is your first time coming on a show like this. I really appreciate the fact that you're going to spend a couple minutes and share this story with all of us. So we need not just the parents, but I think we need our kids to hear it too, right? So the kids can also tell their parents, pay attention, right? So, Allie, we're going to take a break. Pam, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back. Thank you so much.
Sounds good.
Newport, the luxury waterfront community on the Hudson River, offers the quality of life you deserve in 10 high-rise rental towers with amenities such as the on-site Newport Path subway, light rail and ferry service, Newport Town Square, 3 playgrounds, dog run, upscale restaurants, retail giants like Sears, JCPD, Macy's, and Target. Morton Williams Supermarket is just outside your front door. A health and fitness club, spa, skating rink, and medical facilities are also on site. NewportNJ.com. Enjoy the New York skyline from Newport Town Square. Manhattan is just one path stop away or quick ride through the Holland Tunnel. Nursery and private elementary schools all on site. 12-screen movie theater at the Newport Center Mall. Want to visit Newport? Stay at the Westin or Marriott Hotel. Go to NewportNJ.com for details. Newport has luxurious towers, great restaurants, shopping, New York skyline views, schools, playgrounds, a marina and yacht club, gym, spa, fine wine, fine living. It's incredible. It's you. NewportNJ.com. Newport, live like you want.
Jersey City Medical Center is healing, enhancing, and investing in Hudson County because your heart doesn't beat just for you. So get it checked. When your bones are healthy, it lifts us all. We're delivering joy daily in our Lord Abbott Maternity Wing and providing New Jersey's only NCI-designated comprehensive cancer center. We'll continue building our medical network and taking every precaution for your safety so that we can all be healthy together.
Good Friend Self-Storage in North Bergen, New Jersey is a fully climate-controlled facility equipped with state-of-the-art security, packing supplies, a Refer a Friend program, and multiple loading docks convenient for commercial use. Located just off of Route 3 at 4301 Tunnelly Avenue, Route 1 and 9. Call 201-867-2444 or visit us on the web today. Good Friend Self-Storage. Let us be your good friend.
Hi, and welcome back. We're talking about driving distracted, ways to not drive distracted. It's really, really very simple. And we hear from Pam O Donnell. We're going to hear now from Allie ODonnell. We have to keep our phones down. We have to keep our eyes on the road, not be eating, not be drinking, not be shaving, not be trying to read the newspaper or anything else. We just need to focus. And the reason is there's 40,000 families across the United States that get a phone call every single year that they've lost a loved one in a crash, not an accident, as Pam has educated us all. It's not an accident. It's a crash, because driving distracted is a choice that we are all guilty of making sometimes, and we have to be careful not to make that choice ever again. But I don't want to talk too long. I want to go to Allie ODonnell. Allie is 11 years old. She's a sister of Bridget, who died tragically in 2016 in a car crash. Her father, Tim, was also lost. Allie, thank you so much for being brave enough to join us today. How are you today?
I'm good.
Good. Allie, it's so nice of you to join us. And I'm really proud and appreciative that you're making this your first show. And thank you for that. Allie, I've seen you at so many events around Bayonne and in other places with your mom. And you also help her get the word about not driving distracted, don't you? You've become a bit of an advocate yourself, haven't you?
I guess so.
You've worked very hard, Allie, very, very hard with your mother. Allie, what is it that you want people to know about your dad and about your sister? What do you want them to know about them? What kind of people were they?
I want them to know that my dad was very huggable. He was the most funniest person I've ever met. He was really, really smart. He was a science and math teacher at a high school, and sometimes I would talk to some of his students when I was in the daycare center there. And then my sister, she was the most feistiest person I know. I actually got bit one time by a girl, and my sister had stood up for me and pushed the girl down. And then she also pushed one of my friends at my 6th birthday party down the slide. And it was hilarious watching that happen because I knew that she acted like the older sister even though she was the younger sister.
Allie, that's such a beautiful story you tell about Bridget standing up for you, because every single day as an advocate, this word you're going to learn today if you haven't learned it already, you're standing up for families across the country, and we are all so proud of you for doing that. Allie, your mom talked a little bit about these signs that have gone up in all 50 states across the country. That means people across the country know about your dad, and they know about your sister, and they're seeing this huge billboard on the New Jersey Turnpike. What do you want people to look at those signs and think about? What message do you want them to get from those signs?
I want them to understand that my sister was 5 years old when she died, and that my dad, he was going to be in his 50s now. And it wasn't supposed to happen. I was supposed to get a blood work done that day. And you have to understand not to drive distracted or drunk.
Allie, that's such an important message. I'm so glad you're on here telling everybody that, because we all need to be reminded of that, don't we? Sometimes we make dumb mistakes, right? We make these dumb decisions, and we've all done it, Allie. And I listen to you, and I remember keep my phone down. And, point of personal privilege, we're teaching our 17-year-old son to drive. So we're trying to remind him it's more important to keep his eyes on the road, not on the radio station. Pam, before we end today, why don't you tell us a little bit, we only got about 30 seconds. Tell us a bit about the Catch You Later Foundation.
The Catch You Later Foundation was formed shortly after the crash, and we give out, to this date, we've given out $25,000 worth of scholarships to college-bound students here in Hudson County. And we also go up and down the state of New Jersey, also outside of New Jersey, to share our story, because all you hear is and see is the headlines, but you never hear about the daughter left behind, the child left behind, and how she's dealing. And we tell that personal side of the story. So that's what, we go out and by the generosity of people, we get things done.
That's great, Pam. Again, as we wrap up this show, and I wish we had more time, Pam, we could bring you on every week. Allie, you are an absolute natural at this, and thank you for your advocacy. We want no more families to get that phone call. So we're going to wrap up today's show by saying it one more time. Put your phones down, keep your eyes open, always on the road and never anywhere else. With that, Pam, Allie, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate the time you've given us. We will also be remembering Tim and Bridget, of course, on February 22nd. Thank you. Stay safe. Stay healthy. We'll see you next week.